Hold up. Did Karlie Red just expose Kirk Frost's darkest secret on camera? And did Rasheeda really break down in tears and walk off set because of it? Chilly, if you thought season 13 of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta was messy before, buckle up, because things just exploded in the most unexpected way. Now, rumors have always followed Kirk and Rasheeda, cheating scandals, secret kids, you name it, but no one saw this coming. During a sit-down that was supposed to be about healing and moving forward, Karlie shocked everyone when she dropped a bomb that left the entire cast speechless. We're talking jaws on the floor, producers scrambling, cameras rolling, and Rasheeda, she couldn't take it. She got up, tears streaming, and walked right off, leaving Kirk stunned and silent. Fans are losing their minds online, speculating about what really went down behind the scenes. Was this a setup? Did Karlie finally have enough? Or is this yet another twist in the ongoing Frost family drama? One thing's for sure. Nothing will ever be the same again. Grab your snacks, because what you're about to hear might just change the way you see this couple forever. Karlie Red had always been a storm wrapped in stilettos, but no one could have predicted the whirlwind she would unleash at Rasheeda and Kirk's anniversary party. What started as a glamorous night turned into a battlefield of truths, lies, and tears. The cameras were rolling, the drinks were flowing, and the drama was simmering just beneath the surface, waiting for a spark. It began when Karlie walked in fashionably late, wearing a blood-red dress that turned every head in the room. She didn't smile. She didn't wave. She just scanned the crowd until her eyes locked on Kirk, and that's when the tension started to crackle. Rasheeda noticed it too. Her smile faltered for a split second. It was subtle, but it was there. Throughout the evening, Karlie floated around the party like a ghost from the past, exchanging pleasantries with guests, but never straying too far from Kirk. Rasheeda tried to stay composed, brushing it off like old drama resurfacing for no reason. But deep down, she felt it. Something wasn't right. The moment everything changed came just as Kirk raised his glass to toast Rasheeda. His voice trembled, not with emotion, but with something heavier, nervousness. And then, before he could even finish his sentence, Karlie cut in from the crowd with a sharp, "You gonna toast to your wife with that dirty conscience, Kirk?" A hush fell over the room. Kirk froze. Rasheeda blinked, confused. The guests looked around, unsure if this was some sick joke or a real moment being exposed on camera. Karlie didn't stop. She walked straight to the front like she owned the floor. "You think you can play this game forever? Act like you're the loyal husband when we both know the skeletons you've been hiding?" Her voice was steady but charged, like a match, dragged across sandpaper. Kirk stammered, "Karlie, this isn't the time," but she wasn't having it. It's always the time when women like Rasheeda are being lied to. Rasheeda stood frozen, caught between disbelief and dawning realization. Her eyes searched Kirk's face for answers, but he looked like a man watching his past catch up with him in real time. Then came the bombshell. "You remember Charlene?" Karlie asked, eyes locked on Kirk. "Of course you do. Because that little business trip you took 2 years ago?" "Yeah, you weren't in Atlanta. You were in Vegas, with her, and I have proof." The crowd gasped audibly. Phones were already out, recording. This wasn't just drama. This was explosive. Rasheeda whispered, "Charlene." "What is she talking about?" Kirk tried to respond, but words failed him. Sweat formed on his forehead. The man who'd spent years sidestepping scandals was now cornered, exposed, and completely defenseless. Karlie pulled out her phone. This is a photo of Kirk and Charlene, holding hands in the Caesar's Palace lobby. Date stamped. Time stamped. And baby, this ain't Photoshop. Rasheeda stared at the screen, her breath caught in her throat. The silence between her and Kirk screamed louder than any argument could. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she blinked them away. She wouldn't let them fall. "Not yet," Karlie added. "And before you call me a liar, remember this. I used to be friends with Charlene before she found out what kind of man Kirk really is. She told me everything." Kirk finally found his voice. "This is old news. It meant nothing." But that was the worst thing he could have said, Rasheeda snapped. "Old News? So it's true? He hesitated. I didn't say that. You just did, Rashida shot back, her voice cracking. Karlie shook her head. He's been gaslighting you for years. I tried to stay quiet. I really did. But watching you stand by him, watching you smile like everything's perfect, it made me sick. The room had split into two camps, those who watched in shocked silence, and those who whispered theories about how deep Kirk's lies might really go. And then, out of nowhere, Mimi walked in. She wasn't invited. No one expected her. But there she was, arms crossed, lips pressed into a tight line. Karlie's not lying, Mimi said. Rashida turned to her, dazed. What? I saw Kirk in Vegas too. Not with Charlene. With someone else? Blonde hair, tattoos. I thought it was business, but now I'm not so sure. Kirk looked like he'd been hit by a train. You were supposed to be at a conference, Rashida whispered. You told me it was for work. Kirk rubbed his face, the weight of all his secrets catching up to him. I didn't want to hurt you. But you did, she replied, stepping back from him. Karlie's eyes softened just a bit. You deserve better, Rashida. You've always deserved better. Tears finally fell from Rashida's eyes. The years of defending Kirk, of brushing off the rumors, of telling herself she was imagining things, it all crashed down at once. She turned to the guests. I need a minute. But before she could walk away, Kirk tried to grab her hand. Please! She yanked her arm back. Don't! The cameras kept rolling. Every eye stayed glued. This wasn't just drama. It was a reckoning. And the worst part? This was only the beginning. It all started on a quiet afternoon when the cameras were rolling for what was supposed to be a simple catch-up between Karlie and Spice. The mood was casual, laughter filled the air, but something about Karlie's energy felt different. She kept fidgeting, glancing around as if she was weighing whether or not to say something. Spice noticed it instantly. She leaned forward, her voice low. Girl, what's on your mind? And just like that, the floodgates opened. Karlie's voice trembled at first, but once she started talking, it was like she couldn't stop. I wasn't going to say anything, she began, her hands nervously playing with the hem of her shirt. But I can't hold it in no more. Kirk's been hiding something real dark. Spice's eyes widened, her hand instinctively flying to her mouth. What are you talking about? What kind of something? Karlie looked straight into the camera. He's been lying to Rashida for years, and it's not just about cheating. It's deeper. It's family stuff. The air in the room changed. Instantly. You could almost hear a pin drop. Spice was stunned. You're not saying what I think you're saying, she whispered. I'm saying Kirk's got a whole other situation that Rashida don't know about, Karlie replied, her voice heavy with emotion. The news spread like wildfire behind the scenes. Production crews started whispering. Assistants froze in place. Word reached Mimi, who was in another room filming her own segment. She stormed in, eyes blazing. What is going on? Someone better tell me now. Karlie hesitated, but Spice quickly filled her in. Mimi didn't even flinch. I knew something was off with him, always sneaky, always playing innocent. She turned to Karlie. How do you know all this? Karlie took a deep breath. I saw documents, real ones, and I spoke to someone close to Kirk. That's when the pieces started falling into place. Apparently, Kirk had been funneling money into a private account, one not linked to any of his known businesses or family expenses. The funds were being redirected monthly, and the amounts weren't small. When questioned, Kirk always brushed it off as business ventures. But now, Karlie revealed the account was tied to a woman in Florida. And not just any woman, but someone Kirk knew way before he met Rashida. They allegedly share a child. Fans were floored. Social media exploded. Tweets, comments, and videos poured in. People were demanding answers. Rashida remained silent. At first. Back on set, the tension was unbearable. Everyone was on edge, unsure of what would come next. Spice tried to console Karlie, who was clearly shaken by her own revelations. You didn't ask for this, Spice said gently. You're just telling the truth. But not everyone saw it that way. Sierra walked in minutes later, having heard bits and pieces. "So you're just dropping bombs now?" she asked Karlie, arms crossed. "You realize this could destroy everything?" Karlie stood her ground. "They deserve to know. Rashida deserves to know." Her voice cracked as she spoke, but her eyes were steady. I couldn't keep pretending like it wasn't eating me alive. Meanwhile, Kirk was unreachable. His phone went straight to voicemail. Production tried to get him on set for a scheduled shoot, but he never showed. Word was he'd gone off the grid, something completely out of character for him. When Rasheeda finally walked in, no one knew what to expect. Her expression was unreadable, calm even, but her eyes looked tired, like she hadn't slept in days. The room froze. Spice walked up to her and gently took her hand. "You need to hear something," she said softly. They sat Rasheeda down, cameras still rolling. Karlie, now visibly emotional, repeated everything she had said earlier. She didn't hold back, even when her voice broke halfway through. Rasheeda didn't say a word. She just listened. When Karlie finished, a long silence followed. Then Rasheeda whispered, "I knew something wasn't right. I felt it." Her voice cracked, and she covered her mouth, trying to hold back tears. He always had some excuse, always gone, always deflecting, but I never imagined this. At that moment, she broke. The tears came fast, raw, and uncontrollable. She buried her face in her hands and the room went still. Even the cameras panned away for a second, giving her space. Spice wrapped her arms around her. "You don't deserve this," she said fiercely. "No woman does." Sierra, even with her earlier doubts, walked over and joined the embrace. "We got you," she said, her voice steady. "Whatever happens next, you're not going through it alone." Karlie stood to the side, wiping her own tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean for it to come out like this." Rashida lifted her head, her mascara smudged, her voice hoarse. "You did what you had to do. Thank you for not letting me keep living in a lie." And just like that, the entire mood shifted. What began as a casual filming day had turned into a full-blown emotional reckoning. The women stood united, not just in friendship, but in truth. The truth had cracked the foundation of Kirk and Rashida's marriage, but it had also forged an unexpected bond among the cast. And just when they thought the drama had reached its peak, something else happened. Mimi got a text from someone who claimed to have even more information about Kirk's secret life. She didn't say a word. She just looked up at the others, her phone still in her hand, her face pale. Everyone noticed. "What is it?" Sierra asked. Mimi's voice was barely above a whisper. "You're not gonna believe this." When Rasheeda heard those words from Kirk's mouth, the color drained from her face. The longer she stayed silent, the more chaos was raging inside her. It took just a moment, and tears began to fall. She wanted to speak, but the words wouldn't come. Kirk stood silently in front of her, like a man who had accepted his punishment. The silence inside the house felt like the eye of a hurricane. And then, as Rasheeda gathered herself, she uttered just one word. "Why?" Kirk looked at her, but his eyes had no answer. "I thought I was protecting you," he said quietly. "I didn't want you to go through that darkness." Rasheeda let out a bitter laugh. "You weren't protecting me. You were keeping me in the dark. And now that I've stepped into the light, everything is burning." Just then, Bambi arrived. She had already seen all the drama unfold on social media. She hugged Rasheeda tightly and said, "You're strong, and I'm here for you." But there was a strange tension on Bambi's face too, like she was hiding something. Kirk looked at Bambi and said, "You should have told her first." Bambi silently shook her head, but that single gesture held a whole story. Rasheeda looked at them both and said, "So you both knew all along?" Kirk lowered his head in shame, and Bambi, with tears in her eyes, said, "I wanted to tell you, but I was scared it would break you." Rasheeda's voice rose in anger. "So the two of you decided what I could handle? Am I that weak that I wasn't even allowed to face the truth?" The tension was thick, like gasoline catching fire. The camera crew had stopped filming, but the microphones were still on. Kirk spoke softly. "I think about it every day. And every day, I hate myself for it. For a moment, everything stood still. Rashida looked Kirk in the eye and asked, "Now that it's all out, what do you want?" Kirk didn't say anything. He simply pulled out an old photo. It was of him, Rashida, and a little girl. "I just want my family back," he whispered. But for Rashida, going back wasn't that simple. She kept staring at the photo, her hands trembling. On one side was her heart, and on the other, a truth that had shaken the foundation of her marriage. In the middle of all this, Karlie walked in, and everything got even more tangled. She had returned briefly for a meeting, but the moment she stepped inside and saw the atmosphere, she knew something serious had happened. She pulled Bambi aside and said, "You knew this day would come, right? We kept this secret hidden, but hidden truths always come to light," Bambi said softly. "And now that it's out, there's no turning back." Karlie replied, "You think Rashida's the only one who's hurt? I was part of this lie too for years, but whatever happens. Next, I'm not staying on the sidelines." And then, just like that, another twist changed everything. Karlie took out her phone and played a video, a recording of Kirk meeting someone unknown, someone from a darker part of his past. This video had been sent anonymously to Karlie via email. When Rashida watched the video, her reaction was as if her whole world had shattered in one moment. "There's still more?" she said. "I thought everything was over. But this is just the beginning." Bambi asked, "Who sent that recording? And why?" Karlie replied, "Maybe someone else who didn't like hiding the truth. Or maybe someone who didn't want to be a part of keeping it from you." Rashida kept staring at the screen like she was watching her entire past play out frame by frame. Kirk, upon seeing the video, covered his face, as if he no longer had the right to show himself to anyone. Then Karlie dropped another bomb. "This isn't the only video. I've received 3 more clips, each one tied to your relationship, and each one more explosive than the last." Bambi, visibly panicked, asked, "You mean everything was recorded?" Karlie nodded, "And now it's all coming out." At that moment, Rashida said just one thing. "I can't trust anyone anymore. Not my husband, not my friend. And now, not even myself." And that was the deepest cut of all. A woman losing trust in her own self, and just when everyone thought things couldn't possibly escalate any further, the air inside the living room turned ice cold. Kirk sat motionless, his head slightly bowed as if bracing for the next blow. Rashida's lips quivered, not from weakness, but from the sheer volume of everything crashing down on her. Karlie didn't stop. She looked him square in the eye and said it, loud enough for every camera, every person in the room, and every fan behind their screens to hear. "Tell them about the apartment on the south side. Tell Rashida about that little secret you kept tucked away, just like you tried to do with your other ones." Kirk's jaw clenched. Rashida turned slowly, almost as if time had stopped. The entire room fell into an eerie silence. Even the background chatter from producers and crew disappeared into thin air. He didn't speak. He didn't deny it. And that, for Rashida, said everything. What Karlie was referring to, as the internet would later uncover, was a fully furnished apartment Kirk had allegedly been renting under a business alias for over a year. What was it for? Who had access? No one knew yet. But the timing couldn't have been more damaging. Rashida, already standing on cracked emotional ground, felt the floor disappear entirely. She didn't scream. She didn't cry, not immediately. Instead, she stood there, frozen, her eyes blank. It was like watching someone's soul leave their body. And just like that, Rashida took off her mic, handed it to the nearest crew member, and walked out of the room. Not a word, not a look back. Everyone stood stunned, including Kirk. But this time, he didn't chase after her. Outside, cameras caught her pacing, breathing heavily, trying to pull herself together. The quiet sobs started coming through, then louder gasps. She leaned against a wall, trembling. "I can't keep doing this," she whispered to herself. And then, in a moment that broke fans everywhere, she slid down the wall, hugging her knees, letting everything pour out. Raw, unscripted, completely broken. Back inside, Spice approached, Karlie visibly torn. "Girl, that was too much," she muttered. "You didn't have to drop it like that. Not like this." Karlie looked over, eyes still burning. She deserved the truth. She always stood by him, always gave him the benefit of the doubt. If I hadn't said it now, he would have just kept playing her. Meanwhile, Mimi, who had mostly stayed quiet, decided to intervene. She stepped in front of Kirk, her voice firm but not loud. "You need to go after her," she said. "You don't deserve her, but the least you can do is try to explain." But Kirk didn't move. "She's not going to believe anything I say right now. Maybe she shouldn't." That's when the conversation took another turn. With the cameras still rolling, Bambi, who had remained silent until now, spoke up from the corner of the room. "What if I told y'all that Karlie ain't the only one with receipts?" Everyone's heads turned. Bambi stood, phone in hand, and said, "I didn't want to say anything, but at this point, maybe it's time we all stop protecting the wrong people." She opened her gallery and began scrolling, pulling up screenshots of texts, bank statements, even a blurry photo of Kirk allegedly entering a building that matched the address of the apartment Karlie mentioned. "This right here," Bambi said, holding up her phone. "This is from last December, the same weekend he told Rashida he was in Miami for a business trip." "He wasn't in Miami," gasps echoed across the room. The producers looked at each other, unsure whether to cut the cameras or let it unfold. Back in the hallway, a producer quietly approached Rashida, offering her water, trying to console her. "Do you want to stop filming?" he asked gently. Rashida wiped her eyes and shook her head. "No," she replied firmly. "I want to finish this. They need to see me take control of my story." She returned to the room, her steps heavy but full of purpose. As she entered, Kirk looked up, his face a mixture of guilt and sadness. Everyone stepped aside as if instinctively knowing this was her moment. "So," she began, voice low but steady. "How long?" Kirk hesitated. "A year, maybe a little more." "Did you love her?" "No," he said immediately. "It wasn't like that." "Was there more than one?" Silence. That silence was louder than any scream. Rashida nodded, tears forming again, but not falling this time. "I gave you my youth, my trust, my everything." And then, in a surprising twist, she turned to Karlie. "Thank you," she said, catching everyone off guard, "for telling me, for not letting me stay blind." Karlie looked stunned. "I wasn't trying to hurt you." "I know. But sometimes the truth hurts more when it comes from silence." Then, turning back to Kirk, Rashida asked one final question. "Why didn't you just tell me? Why wait for the cameras and the drama?" He looked up. "Because I didn't think you'd ever leave." Those words hit like a freight train. Fans watching would later say they never expected Kirk to admit it like that, to be so blunt and cruel in his honesty. Social media exploded with reactions, hashtags trending within hours. "Are Rashida deserved? Better? Are Karlie was right? Are Kirk exposed?" As the episode began wrapping up, Rashida left again. But this time not in tears. She walked out with her head held high. Strong, powerful, ready to rebuild, with or without Kirk. Inside, the rest of the cast sat speechless. Spice leaned into Mimi and whispered, "This season just changed everything," and it truly had. Friendships were tested. Alliances shifted. Secrets turned into weapons. And amid it all, one woman reclaimed her story in the face of public betrayal. But for Kirk, the fallout was only just beginning. And just like that, everything seems to be spinning out of control. Karlie's confession has done more than shake the table. It's flipped the whole damn house upside down. Kirk's image is shattered. Rashida's world is spiraling, and fans can't stop speculating what's next for the Frost family. The air is thick with tension, and everyone's wondering, will Rashida finally walk away for good? Will Kirk come clean about everything or keep playing damage control behind the scenes? One thing's clear. Trust has been broken, and nothing will ever be the same. People close to them are taking sides. The internet is in a frenzy, and even the show's producers didn't see this bombshell coming. If this is just the beginning, we can only imagine what kind of chaos is waiting around the corner. But now, we want to hear from you. Do you think Kirk's secret was even bigger than what Karlie spilled? Is there more to this story that still hasn't come to light? And most importantly, should Rashida give him another chance, or is this the final straw? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. No holding back. We're reading every single one. Don't forget to hit that like button if this story had you glued to your screen, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next twist in this wild saga. And hey, share this with your friends because trust us, they'll want to see this mess unfold too. This is only the beginning. Buckle up because in reality TV, the truth has a funny way of finding its way out.